So I just read today that Bing, the search engine, is looking to implement ChatGPT in their main search engine. So sometime in the future, it's wholly possible that you're going to be getting answers from ChatGPT as well as from the web. And who knows, maybe in the future sometime, there's a possibility that you're going to be getting answers directly from ChatGPT, bypassing a lot of things. So unless you've been living under a rock, ChatGPT is pretty much everywhere. People are excited, people are nervous, people are anxious. Some people feel it's going to take their jobs. Some people are super excited for the possibilities and the different things that you can do with it. I am definitely in the latter camp. I see ChatGPT as a way to open up the world, to increase the possibilities, and to increase the capabilities of we as human beings are able and will be able to achieve in the near future. And so in this video, I want to show you 7 profitable SaaS app ideas. And these are essentially apps that you can build that people will be willing to pay you money for in exchange for the value these apps are going to be providing. And if you stay until the end, I'm going to give you some bonus ideas that you can implement as well in different situations. Now, before we talk about the different app ideas, I want to show you a general app architecture diagram that you're going to be roughly following as you're going to be building some of the apps or the app that you want to build. So this here is a general SaaS app format diagram. Okay, so we have the user, and the user is obviously going to be interfacing with the UI. Okay, the UI is going to be interfacing with the logic component. And then at the back end, we have storage. This could be Firestore. This could be local storage. This could be Supabase, which I actually did a video about just recently. And somewhere along your architecture app stack, you're also going to be dealing with ChatGPT3, GPT-3 as a whole. And I also had a video where I built an app that interface with ChatGPT3 as well. And here we have an example of a very, very simple FlutterFlow app. Here's a page that has a very, very basic UI where a user is going to be entering text and they're going to be getting some kind of a result back. Now, this is a very, very simplistic representation. Your final UI, your final app is going to be obviously depending upon what kind of app you're going to be building. You know, some of the app ideas I'm going to be mentioning may require a couple of fields here and there. They may be more complex. They may be more comprehensive than something this simple. But for the most part, the apps we're going to be talking about today are going to be relatively simple apps. We're not going to be building very, very complex apps. We're going to be building very simple, direct to the point apps that are going to be doing something very, very useful that the users require, that the users need to know. Now, in this first idea, we're going to have an app where the user is going to be able to instruct a GPT to draft them a sample email in response to a certain situation. So for instance, here I have a sample conversation where I'm instructing ChatGPT to create a sample email telling a prospective client that I'm unable to meet them for lunch. Okay. So this is my request and this is the response I got. Okay. So it basically expands it, makes it nicer, makes it formal, and even suggests an alternative time. Can we reschedule for a new date and a new time? But then I went ahead and I told it, now create an email without telling them an alternative time. So, you know, I don't want, you know, the other party to suggest an alternative time. Maybe I'm busy. Maybe I'm busy for those 2 weeks or for the month. And so I don't want an alternative time. I just want to have an email that tells the party that I'm busy. And so the idea here is that you're going to have a UI where you're going to tell the app to create these sample emails. And this app is going to create these sample emails using ChatGPT3, and then it's going to save them as drafts inside of Gmail. And so that way, when the person receives a specific request to have lunch, to have dinner, to meet up, to talk about this, to talk about that, you're going to have a draft ready to go. So all the user, all your customer, essentially your customer would need to do is to pull out that specific draft and maybe customize it a little bit to the person, or in many cases, they might not even need to customize it. They just need to pull it out and just hit reply and just use that draft as a reply. And this is a time-saving thing. This is one of those situations where, you're getting an email, but you can't meet this person. But number one, you don't know how to do it nicely. You don't know how to do it like diplomatically, right? Shall we say? And number two is that this is a time-saving thing. So you can create some kind of an email autoresponder for businesses, right? These are going to be businesses that are going to be using it, and they're going to be paying for the service. Now, a corollary of this first point is a same system, but instead of generating a specific response, it's going to look through all the emails and it's going to create a summary. So for instance, here I have a request, summarize the following, and this is actually an email. This is just a sample email here that I just found on the internet. And this thing went ahead and it created a summary. So you can do it for each email, and that way you can have maybe a day's summary. Let's say, a person, your customer, the person that you're going to be selling your SaaS app, they're getting a lot of emails, right? Which is definitely not out of the question. There are people that get a lot of emails. And so they don't have time to kind of read through all of them. And you're going to have a system that's going to summarize these emails and create maybe a bullet point and then send them an email at the end of the day telling them all the important ones, or maybe even notify them if there's an email that popped up. And so this is a corollary of the other task. You can obviously create one or the other, or you can create both and offer them as a unified SaaS offering. Now, in the second idea, we are going to be building a SaaS app that's going to record a meeting and automatically transcribe it and then create a summary out of that meeting. So let's say somebody attends a lot of meetings. And so they go to a meeting, they record the meeting, and then the app that you're going to be building, it's automatically going to take this audio, it's going to transcribe it using another AI tool called Whistler AI, which is state-of-the-art audio to text transcription service. And then it's going to forward this text to GPT-3, instruct it to summarize it just like I did it just right here. And then you're going to get back a summary. And this could be very, very useful for somebody that attends a lot of meetings and doesn't have time to kind of go over the notes or make all the notes. They just want to record the meeting. They want to go home, or maybe on the way, maybe they're driving home, they're riding the subway home. They want to get a summary, automatic summary of their meetings. And this is also going to be a profitable app because we are targeting businesses. We're targeting business people who attend meetings where they're possibly going to be, dealing with, some kind of business deals that could be worth a lot of money. So for them to have those meeting summaries, those meeting minutes, is going to be very, very valuable. Now, in this case, you're going to be using two AI tools, Whistler AI as well as GPT-3. You're going to combine them together, and you're going to have a very, very valuable product that you can charge people money for. Now, in this third example, we are going to be creating a SaaS app that's going to be automatically creating a sales copy or a sales letter for a customer's product. So here I have an example of a flow that you're going to be implementing inside of your app. So I've instructed ChatGPT to create a sales copy using the following data. So I just, I told it to create a sales copy, but I gave it the product, which is a vacuum cleaner. And I also gave it specs. So it's fast, easy to clean, works by itself, and recharges quickly. So it went ahead and created a very, very rough sales copy. And then I instructed it to include the following points: easy to clean, fast to recharge, uses AI, and not expensive. Okay, these are the benefits that I want to be included as part of a sales letter. So I thought it was a little short. I told it to make it longer, and then I said, make it 500 words. And then finally, we got a relatively long sales letter. Now you can obviously instruct it to make it 1,000 words. But the nice thing about it is that when you're building this kind of app, you can just have one page which with a bunch of fields where your customer needs to fill out a bunch of information, so they can specify the name of the product. So not like a vacuum cleaner, which is a generic term. You want them to actually specify the name of the product, right? So like Red Devil 2000, a vacuum cleaner or something like that. And then you can have a list of different specs about it, and maybe some benefits that you want to include. And you can even have them specify description. So these are going to be fields inside of your app. And then you're going to have a button. It's going to talk to these services and come back with a sales letter that the user, your customer, can copy and paste and start using it right away. Maybe they can do some quick edits, stuff like that. But that's all they really need to do. It's going to be very, very easy to do. And obviously, the kind of UI you're going to be building will depend what kind of industry you're going to be targeting, what kind of customers. But I think something that has a name, a bunch of specs, a bunch of benefits, maybe a little description is a very, very good start. You can start from that. And then you can charge them based on, how many of these sales copies they want to create per month, or, other time frame, or maybe this is going to be a credit-based app. It's really, really up to you. But I know a lot of people, marketers, online marketers, offline marketers, digital marketers, many other professions are going to find this very, very helpful. Now, in this next example, for a very, very profitable SaaS app, we're going to be focusing on lead generation and cold outreach. So let's say you have a very cool product that you've just built. Let's say you want to promote that product. You want to, put that product in front of an audience. You want to get eyeballs to that product. And let's say, for instance, that product is in the field of photography. Okay, it has something to do with photography. Maybe it's some kind of a gadget, some kind of a new, like a camera gadget, or like a microphone or something like that, right? You can build an app that will help people find places where they can strike partnerships in order to promote their product. So here's an example. Here I asked ChatGPT to give me a list of 10 mid-sized sites about photography. So it gave me a list, and then I said, draft an email to a site owner asking them if they would be interested in partnering on a new photography gadget. So it went ahead and actually created an email that I can potentially send to these site owners, okay? Now, another really nice thing that you can do is that once you have a list of these sites, you can connect with a site like hunter.io all inside of your SaaS app. And this site will help you get contacts for just about any site on the internet. So for instance, if I type DP review, here it has 15 results. So I can come over here and it has 15 results. And all I have to do is sign in for a free account, and I will get all these emails. Now, these are public emails that are out there on the website. And so instead of you visiting those websites and finding those contact emails, you can automate this process, and you can build a SaaS app that creates a list of prospective sites, gets their public contact information, and also creates a pitch, right? And this is going to be a SaaS app that, just like the previous apps, a person is going to specify what kind of industry they need, or what kind of sites, or maybe YouTube channels or newspapers, etc., whether mid-size, large, small, and then it's going to help them to create a draft email, a cold email that they can possibly send to these sites, to these properties, in order to promote their product. And so if you build a site that's going to help people connect to an audience, connect to a site, connect to properties, and even draft a cold email, you're going to be providing a lot of value. And there's definitely a big area to make money in this market as well. Now, for this next idea, you're going to be building a SaaS app that's going to help teachers and instructors create lesson plans. Okay, so here I have an example. create a lesson plan to talk about biology for 5th grade students. And look at this, lesson title, Introduction to Biology, objective, materials, warm-up, direct instruction, guided practice, independent practice, closure, assessment. So it went ahead and created this fairly comprehensive lesson plan for 5th grade students in the field of biology. Here's another example. Create a lesson plan for computer science for 7th grade students. So it went ahead and created a comprehensive lesson plan for computer science, knowing that these are going to be students in 7th grade. So obviously, if you specify another grade, it's going to create a different lesson plan. If you specify something more specific, more narrow, like a narrower discipline, maybe a specific area of computer science, maybe programming, in this language, Dart programming, C++ programming, it's going to create you another lesson plan. And this is extremely, extremely useful for all kinds of students, all kinds of instructors, whether they're private teachers, whether they're, teachers in a public school, in a private school, whether they're like private tutors, whether they're like, instructors, right? Everybody needs a lesson plan. And so you can create an app that asks them for information about what kind of lesson plan should the app create. Okay, so maybe a topic, maybe a discipline, what is the audience, and they can explain it in plain English, right? They can say 7th grade students, computer science, etc., etc., and the app is going to go out and create a very, very customized lesson plan that they can, look at, they can modify, they can maybe use as a starting point in order to add a little bit of their own touches and a little bit of their own magic, but it's going to be very, very valuable. And I can see it for, maybe English teachers that, teach English in foreign countries, maybe. All kinds of students, all kinds of instructors, you name it. I can see a ton of potential for apps such as this one. Now, in this next example, we are going to be building an app that's going to create topic ideas on a specific area. Okay, so as an example, list 10 topics for blog articles having to do with cancer treatments. Okay, so maybe you are a writer for New York Times, you are a writer for some kind of an academic journal, you are a writer for some kind of a local, small town newspaper or an online journal, or you have your own blog, you have your own site, and you need a topic idea. So here we have 10 topic ideas. And then I asked to list 10 topics for blog articles having to do with unsolved mysteries. Okay, so now you have 10 topic ideas for unsolved mysteries. In this area, I called creating content ideas, right? This could be content for YouTube channels, content for blog articles, for news, academic journals, you name it, right? Anybody that writes for a living, anybody that needs ideas, right? Maybe they're a PhD student, they're writing some kind of a study, or they're evaluating a study and they need to write something having to do with that study, you name it, tons and tons of ideas. But here you have it, and you can obviously, you can create a UI for this kind of app, and you're going to have different settings, right? How many topics? Is this going to be a blog? Is this going to be an academic journal? Is this going to be maybe, a website? You name it, right? And then you're going to specify the topic as general or as specific as you want, really. And that's going to go out and create more. And you can easily, create an app that does this. But the secret here, I feel, is going to be targeting for a specific area. It's not going to be creating an app that kind of does everything. You want to focus on a specific niche. I think with this idea, that's going to be very, very important, because a lot of niches, they feel that they're, underrepresented. Like there's not a lot of tools, there's not a lot of apps serving that need. And so if you can create something targeting a specific niche, they're going to be very, very grateful to you, and they're going to be a lot more willing to sign up and pay you for the ability to get content and save them time and deliver all this value to them. Now, in this last but definitely not least example, we are going to be building an app that's going to be creating cloud infrastructure. Okay, so when you think about cloud infrastructure, you have different providers. You have Microsoft Azure, you have Google Cloud, you have Amazon. Amazon is one of the more popular ones. And each cloud provider, they have different services, different components that you can use depending on your need, right? So you have things like storage buckets, you have things like compute engines, you have things like APIs, you have things like DNS services, right? So I think Amazon has like 100+ services that you can kind of mix and match, combine, and get them to work together. And this is very, very popular in big as well as small organizations, right? Because not a lot of companies want to have all these servers, all this stuff in-house. They typically want to outsource it and create these infrastructure as a service. That's kind of what it's called, infrastructure as a service. Now, let's say you want to go out and you want to build this infrastructure, maybe for yourself, for your company, or maybe you're doing it as a service for someone else. You can go out and you can do all of this manually. You can mix and match, you can create all this manually. But a much better strategy is to create template files that allow you to specify it in text format, what kind of infrastructure you want, how many pieces, how many servers you want, how many buckets you want, do you want this, do you want that, all this configuration stuff. You can create it as a template and then simply execute that template, okay? Now, when it comes to Amazon Web Services, and if you have never heard about it, definitely check it out. Everybody uses it. Very, very popular. You have two ways of doing it, or two ways of kind of configuring your infrastructure. The first way is using something called a Terraform file, which is very, very common, very, very popular. And so what I did is I told it, create a Terraform file that will contain S3 with public access served via CloudFront with DNS handled by Route 53. And so it went ahead, here's an example Terraform file that creates an S3 bucket, etc., etc. So it went ahead and created this file, right? And I used to do this a couple of years back. And in order for me to do what it just did in like a couple of seconds, I had to search different sites. I had to reach documentation. It was very, very painful. But this AI tool went ahead and created it in mere seconds, okay? So here's an example using Terraform, which is very, very popular. But there's also another way of doing it, and that is using CloudFormation. So I did the same thing. I said, create the same config file using CloudFormation. So here's an example of a CloudFormation template that creates an S3 bucket, etc., etc. And so it essentially created a template to build the very same infrastructure, the very same cloud infrastructure, but using a different tool, CloudFormation. Okay, this is actually part of Amazon. So some companies use this, and while some companies use Terraform. And so you can do it in various formats. You can do it in both formats. And I see this specific idea here to be very, very valuable to so many organizations that don't want to get bogged down with, all these configuration details. And because just understanding how this works, you need to be an expert. It's like learning another programming language, right? You're essentially going to be spending a lot of time learning this before you can actually go out and build your own infrastructure, so you can start doing what you want to do. So you can start running your company, building your startup, building your app, etc., etc. And so when it comes to the UI for this specific example, yes, you can have, a general purpose kind of input field, right, where they can enter what they want in plain English. But a much better approach would be asking the customer if they want an S3 bucket, if they want CloudFront, if they want their own DNS handling, if they want, Lambda functions, etc., etc. And I can see a lot of businesses being super excited about this, because this is something that I used myself personally to create my own little infrastructure for one of my side projects. And it actually did a fantastic job, which actually surprised me. And that's where I got the idea of how you can actually turn this into an app, turn this into a product, and make money from this. So here's another really good idea. And like I said, you can have it generate Terraform files, or you can have it generate CloudFormation, or you can have it generate both, depending on what your customer is looking for. So great SaaS app idea. This is targeted at businesses, right? Which means there's going to be money behind it. Definitely look into it if this is something that interests you. Now, I told you at the beginning of the video that I'm going to have a couple of bonus ideas as well. So let's talk about those real quick. One of these ideas is travel-based. So something like creating a custom trip itinerary for someone visiting city X or country X for X amount of days. So here I'm asking it for to create a custom trip itinerary for someone visiting Portugal for 7 days. And it actually went ahead and created it, right? So we have here day 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's day 7 here. Now, here's another idea: create a 3-day itinerary for Miami. Okay, day 1, day 2, day 3. And so it actually created very useful itineraries that somebody like me, for instance, can follow in various places around the world. Now, another similar example is to build an app that uses AI to create customized weight loss plans. Okay, so here's a sample here. Create a 30-day weight loss plan using the keto diet. Okay, so here's a 30-day weight loss plan using the keto diet. So we have day 1, 2, 3, and day 10. It cuts off, but it can generate all 30 days. Now, the thing with these two bonus examples here is that I feel they're going to be a lot more useful as part of something bigger. So maybe if you have a website having to do with travel, or a website having to do with fitness, diet, weight loss, different diets, stuff like that, then you can create something like this and have the users use it as part of a bigger product. Maybe you have an app, an iOS app, like a training app or a fitness app or a travel app, then that could be part of an app. I don't personally feel that if you turn these ideas into standalone apps, that they're going to be as profitable or as lucrative as the other ideas that we talked about in the main part of the video. And that is because in the first part of the video, we talked about ideas that are targeted to businesses. So stuff like creating a summary of meetings or generating a cloud infrastructure plan. Those ideas are exclusively targeted at businesses, and targeting ideas at businesses is always a lot more lucrative than targeting just general ideas at the public, right? So somebody might look at this, they might enjoy it, but I feel that these ideas definitely should be created, should be leveraged as part of something bigger. And so if you're looking to build maybe a website in one of these niches, or you are looking to build a mobile app in one of these niches, you can include some of this functionality as part of your website. While the ideas that we talked about earlier are awesome ideas, just standalone, right? So you can build an app for that idea, and that app should be lucrative. That project should be lucrative because it provides value that people are willing to pay for. Now, obviously, the ideas talked about today are just a small sample of the overall possibilities that are available to you using these state-of-the-art AI services. And hopefully, I've given you some ideas that will help you to ultimately execute and create a SaaS app that you can market to an audience and monetize down the road. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, you are gonna love my Patreon page. Not only will you get access to all the apps that I've built over the course of this channel in FlutterFlow, as well as using some of the other no-code builders, but you'll also get access to extra content such as Q&As, various live streams, behind the scenes content, as well as my current masterclass series where I do a deep dive on a specific area, on a specific topic that a lot of people want more knowledge about, that a lot of people may be struggling with and need more clarification on. Plus, joining my Patreon is an awesome way of supporting this channel and supporting my work. So if you haven't yet become a subscriber, I urge you to check it out and consider becoming a member. That will do it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video.